Hello, guys. It's Jeselle here, and welcome to today's edition of Motivational Minds Radio. This is the program where we get to take a closer look into the minds of the authors who put the words on the page for our reading pleasure. They keep us motivated, they keep us inspired, and they get us prepared for the adventures that life throws at us each and every day. Today, we have got the author of a book called Total Zero to Professional Hero. The author's name is Darren Bocksnick, and he is with us today. Darren, how are you?
I am doing great, Jeselle. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
No problem. Before we continue speaking with you, I just want to let people know a little bit more about you. So Darren is a published author. He is a blogger, a poet, a public speaker, a consultant, a songwriter, and a guitarist whose passion is to inspire and empower the reading, listening audience. When he's not armed with a pen or pad, he can be found spending time with his family or taking in the sights and sounds of the great outdoors. He is a featured poet in the International Who's Who in Poetry, and recently, his book that we're going to talk about today, Total Zero to Professional Hero, this is a book that encourages readers to prepare themselves for the unprecedented opportunities available in the new economy. So, Darren, he's both worked for Fortune 500 and Inc. 500 organizations, and this makes him well-versed in the very real challenges that individuals and companies face in promoting their business or building their brand. He routinely consults and collaborates with executives at the highest level with their professions for the purpose of helping them discover new summits of success in their business and beyond. His life's mission can be summed up in a signature quote of his: dream vicariously, work vigorously, and enjoy vivaciously. I love that. That's fantastic. He strives to operate. You're welcome. He strives to operate by this code and to maximize each minute for all they're worth, to fully experience the moments he's been given. Darren, welcome. We're so glad to have you here, and let's get straight to it because I'm sure that there is a magical story behind this title, Total Zero to Professional Hero.
Yes, there is. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, we're glad to have you. So, Total Zero to Professional Hero, what is that about?
Wow, that is a really cool title that my co-author, Josh Delaney, came up with. And the funny thing is, the book had pretty much been written in its entirety, but we were struggling with a title. So we kind of brainstormed, the three of us, and Robert Velarde is my other co-author, and we came up with probably no less than about 20 to 30 titles. And then what we did is we kind of narrowed down the ones that we thought we would end up going with, and then after that we actually sent out a survey, surveymonkey.com. They do the free surveys. And so we sent out a survey with... Go ahead.
I said free plug.
Yeah. Well, we're really struggling with what can we do for a title here. We want it to be something that's really catchy, but something that at the same time says our message in a very pointed way, but also kind of leaves a little bit of mystery and intrigue to make people want to know more. And so we put out the survey, and with people that we associate with, just friends, family, colleagues, people we trust. And the overwhelming response was for Total Zero to Professional Hero, and we went with it.
Awesome.
So that is the reading audience's preferred pick.
Preferred pick. Wonderful. And with the three of you, so you said that there was Robert, Josh, and yourself. So
yes.
Is this sharing, explain how this co-authorship works. Are you guys sharing personal stories? Are you guys collaborating on ideas that you can teach people? What exactly is the co-author relationship
Sure.
here?
No, that's a great question. I really appreciate you asking that. So, first and foremostly, my choice in these two gentlemen is definitely intentional. They're first and foremost great friends of mine, whom I trust implicitly, and I've actually had a great business relationship with them and personal friendship for many years. So that's one aspect of why I chose them and their involvement in the book. But the other part of it is, let's just be quite honest. When we write a book, we want the book to get out there. And it may not be necessarily for making a lot of money, but it is to promote our idea. It is to get the message out there. But you have to have a method behind getting your name out there. And so really my reason for choosing these guys, in addition to being, like I said, trusted confidants, is that they really do embody what the book is about. And also, they really are very strategic in their own marketing. These guys are very well known. Probably between the two of them, they have, I would say, a collective network of probably close to 500,000 people between the two of them. And that's just in their immediate network. And these guys, they constantly go around the country doing motivational speaking engagements and sessions. They teach, they train. So they're very well versed in what they do. And the other aspect of it is they each have their own unique talents and skill sets that they bring to the table. So Josh, he is really, really good with business coaching, with training, and also with, like I said, motivational speaking, as well as network marketing. And then you have also Robert, who's really good. He is a SEO expert as well as a social media guru. He often gets featured on local TV stations there in Sacramento, California, where he's from, to actually address social media and how to position yourself online. So these guys collectively offer a very unique approach to marketing, and so it was very intentional to use them in helping get the book out there. Hopefully that answered your question.
Absolutely, that answers it. And, it's so important. It's a great message that you've got just in that story. It's so important for people to have a team behind anything that it is that they want to do, because how many times do you start something and don't finish it for the sole purpose that you feel like alone and you don't have those supporting members with and behind you at all times. So,
very true.
Yeah. So total zero to professional hero, your story. When were you at zero, and when did you become a hero? Tell us about that.
That is a funny question, because that is probably the one aspect of the book that we hope people didn't get out of it. We don't want them to think that they are a total zero, but that they are en route to becoming a professional hero. So it's more of a play on words, really. The idea behind it is really to let people see the value in building relationships. That's really the premise of the book. And you and I were talking a little bit earlier that really no author should go into writing a book for the purpose of making money, and that is so true. And the irony is really when we build relationships, all of those things come into play, and all of those things fall into place. And I was just going through and found a quote that I thought was really, really interesting, that kind of embodies what I'm trying to really get across in the book. And it's actually an unknown person who wrote this quote, but it says, "It's a great feeling knowing I have built thousands of business relationships and friendships without buying them." And I thought, wow, that is really perfect. Because the idea of the book is to promote the ideal that we really need to connect more in this very connected yet disconnected society we live in. And what I mean by that is we're all very connected with our networks, our various social media profiles, with all of our online presence channels that we're going through. Everyone's very connected. But at the same time, we're one of the most disconnected societies there is. To the point that there's actually a newly coined term. You're going to probably enjoy this. It's called nomophobia. And can you take a guess? Yes. Can you take a guess at what that might mean? I won't do that to you, Jeselle.
No more people? No more people.
I love it. That is awesome. So nomophobia is Nomophobia. And basically it is the fear of being separated from your cell phone.
Okay.
And it's a legit term.
When you were talking about us we need to be more connected, but yet we are very disconnected. In my mind, I'm just like, oh my gosh, the cell phones. How will we ever be connected again? Yes. Yes.
And so what the book really tries to concentrate on is the value of building those relationships, those networks, but it's obviously on a very personal basis. So the idea would be if you've got a social media network, let's say, the idea would be to try to take that offline and meet these people on an individual basis, if at all possible. Or if that's not possible, but at least to develop a legit relationship with these people that's not based on some ulterior motive that you want to get something out of them.
Yes.
It's just the value of the relationship itself.
Genuine interest to know how you're doing, where you're at, and how can I serve you.
That is exactly the message of the book. And there's actually a couple of different messages with the book and what I'm trying to convey. When I mentioned I struggle with the title, because really the book itself is in its entirety with all these various, I guess you might say, subtopics or other topics that kind of go off from the main topic, and that is the book is really about making yourself in demand. And that was actually what our title was going to be, something around the idea of making yourself in demand. We couldn't really come up with something clever, though, so we ended up really liking the Total Zero Professional Hero. But where the idea for in demand came in is I started looking at just in this new economy that we're facing. A lot of people are looking at this, Jeselle, as being, it's a downturn economy or it's a depressed economy. And I refuse to take that stand or that belief, because really the Internet has created more opportunities for wealth, for growing your network, growing your influence than at any other time in history. So it's not that the economy is downturned or depressed. It is a new economy in every sense of the word. New, by definition, means that you've got to do something different. And you've got to do something new. And so what I'm trying to convey in the book is that the opportunities are ever present, they're abundant, but you've got to do something new to go after them. And that's where this idea of in demand, we look at the product world, and if I'm going too fast, please stop me. But we look at the product world, and right now I have friends that work for Apple. And with the release of the new iPhone S, that people that ordered their phones a month ago still haven't gotten them yet. That's because of the demand. And when you look at the product world, when something is a demand, there is value. And when there's value, profits rise, profits go up. And also, there's also what we call the kind of the wow factor, the cultural buzz that's associated with that in-demand status. And it would be safe to say that every company out there, when they produce a new product, they have really one cohesive objective in mind, and that's to reach a status of high demand with their product, because that ensures profitability. But you kind of have to look at the flip side of it, too. When something falls out of demand, you have kind of a pet rock situation or a Beanie Baby situation. Things just are not in demand anymore, and so, people aren't buying them as much. And so really, just to kind of wrap up my long point here, would be the purpose of the book was to look at that and say, you know what, why can't we take and borrow from the product world and the business world and say, what are we doing to make ourselves in demand these days? What are we doing to make ourselves more valuable to those around us? What are we doing to make ourselves really worthy of their time, their attention, and their interest? And that's really what I'm trying to convey in the book, is that we've got to make ourselves in demand. Mm-hmm.
And what would you say are maybe like top three? What's your best takeaways for building that demand in your character as a person in business, or whatever have you?
Sure, that's a great question, and it does go into a lot of different points. But I would say probably the top three would be, excelling in the art of communication, I think, would be one, to attract the right kind of audience. And with that would be mastering your people skills so that you can obviously have a positive impact on those around you. The other would be definitely looking at your various channels on how you are being represented, whether it's online via social media networks, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. There's so many of them out there, as we know. And that right there is a huge, huge topic that you could just spend so much time on. But if you're going to really use social media as a way to promote and market yourself and get your name out there to build that demand and value, you have to kind of exercise wisdom in how you do that. And that would be if your network is going to consist primarily of business people or business-minded people, and you're trying to associate with that clientele or that type of person, then you've got to really make sure your social media profiles are on par with that kind of a crowd. So, you don't want to post those embarrassing pics from spring break. You don't want to...
That's a great lesson for college students and for people that are newly entering the work world. I don't think that
yes.
they fully understand that social media, that no longer do you hand in a CV or a resume and they're just looking at it. Now it's like, okay, this is my piece of paper, but let me Google this name. And I don't think people
yes.
still get that.
You are exactly right. And to kind of add to what you're saying, a lot of people don't even realize this, but I believe it was the CEO or the VP of Relations of Google that actually said, by the time this generation reaches, and I'm not quoting exactly, I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but by the time this generation reaches career age, they will have to change their name because
wow.
of all the bad rap, all the negative stuff associated with their name from all of the different posts and things that they've just put out there on the internet for the whole world to see. So again, part of that establishing demand has to do with how do you present yourself online. It has to do with every aspect of just taking accountability for your online activity. It really does. To go along with that second point would be, what are you doing to network with others on a personal basis, physical one-on-one settings? And that would entail, obviously your one-on-one relationships, I apologize, but also it would entail, are you involved in networking groups? Are you going out there physically meeting these people, not, again, for the purpose of some ulterior motive that, what can I get out of this person? If I give them my business card, if I say hi to them, can I go ahead and start drawing triangles for them on a piece of paper? And little baby triangles underneath that. So it's not about the pyramids, right? Although I do believe in that kind of financial method, but I'm just saying that we can't look at every person we meet as an end to a means, so to speak. So we have to really just concentrate on the value of the relationship.
I would love to interrupt. I already have interrupted. I would love to add on to that. The fact that just like 30 minutes of tea or coffee with someone is an amazing opportunity to learn something. And if more people would value just that moment that they have with people to think, what can I share with them and what can I learn from this experience? That, we can move on to the business shortly after that. We can move on to the real reason why we're here shortly after that. Or we can reschedule for another time so that we can really build this relationship. I don't know if you're familiar with the book Three Cups of Tea or something like that, and it was based in Africa, and one of the things that they really talked about in there was how most business, it takes 3 cups of tea before you get to the point of starting to talk about business.
Wow. That is deep. Deep and simple. Wow. Yeah. So I am total agreement with what you're saying there. And I think that because of just this fast-paced, digitally connected society we're living in, it is literally cheapening the whole relationship aspect. When we look at really where we're currently at, and again, this is not to paint a negative or gloomy picture here, but when more people are prone to spend time on sites like Second Life, which is a virtual reality site, and it literally is like their second life, and more people spend more time in a very virtual world as opposed to the real world that we're living in. To me, it's imbalanced, and that's the premise of the book, is to try to restore the idea that there is a value in relationships that we're missing out on simply because we want to cheapen the relationship with our cell phones. We want to cheapen it with only having that digital connection with somebody The occasional hello, how you doing, good to see you, the 140 characters or less relationship. I believe in those things, but I believe that they should be as a means to get to the real point, and the real point is to build that relationship and really get to know that person for the value that they bring.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I mean, that is so crucial for people to hear these days. I know that we are all a victim to this at some point of our lives, being on the train or just in public, walking around in our faces
Sure.
on our phone, but how many times do we actually pick up our head and say hello to somebody, or make it our daily mission to go out and meet 1, 2, 3 people new every single day? I mean,
no, you're exactly right.
So
and every day we're faced with this choice. I mean, do we just pass that person up? Do we? I mean, and I understand. Everyone's very protective of their private space and their personal space. So obviously there's wisdom that has to come into play there. But again, what we're really trying to convey here is that all the things that people so often are on an aim to achieve in life, whether it's that elusive word called success or wealth or monetary gain, obviously material gain, notoriety, whatever it might be. I'm not saying that those motives are necessarily wrong, because I think deep down we all have that drive somewhat to a degree, but I think it's when things become skewed where we fall off the higher road, so to speak. And the irony in all of this is, Jeselle, that if we simply develop the relationships based on the value of the relationship itself, all of those things will come anyway as a result.
Yes. And nurture it and set intentions and keep moving forward. Just keep bringing the value each and every time you speak. So I do have a question for you, back to this title, because I just keep getting brought back to this title, Total Zero to Professional Hero.
Yes.
So who is your favorite superhero?
I'm sorry?
You probably thought you misunderstood me, but I was correct.
I had a hard time hearing you. My apology.
Okay, my question for you is, who is your favorite superhero?
Who's my favorite superhero?
Yes.
Wow, that's a really good question. Wow. With all the really cool superhero movies that have come out lately, I'm just kind of taken aback. I kind of like Thor.
Okay.
Just because I think it's a really cool place where he comes from.
Okay.
But really, I mean, Superman's probably always been my favorite. I mean, just over and all. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the pure motive, the underlying motive of what made him great, and what really gave him his powers was, to me, very centered around what we're trying to convey in the book. Just helping people and bringing value to people and helping people discover their value and their potential.
Beautiful. So this book is going to help people discover their value. It's going to help people communicate effectively. So help people get out of the virtual world and get back into reality, which is face to face.
Yes, that would be a great thing to happen if someone read this book and they really kind of snapped out of it. That would be definitely rewarding to know.
Awesome. And what's the one takeaway, the one must takeaway for one of your readers after they read this book?
I would say, well, let me go ahead and read a quick little section, if that's okay. We're talking about a paragraph. And
absolutely.
It's not too long. Okay, so I quote, and this is found on page 195. The book, by the way, it seems like it's really long, and it kind of is, but every page has either an image, a text box, or some kind of artwork on the page to break up the monotony of the text. So even though it is kind of lengthy, it's like 314 pages, but it's actually easy to read because of all the various different, like I said, artwork and pictures. It kind of breaks up the monotony of the text, so it's makes the point more valid, I think, when you read it that way. But this particular quote is on page 195, and it says this: I quote, "Greatness is less about achieving a monumental feat as it is about completing those daily menial tasks that eventually lead up to that momentous moment of accomplishment. Lest we dream away our potential, we should look to the task at hand and perform it with all the passion and purpose we can gather. For in doing so, we daily bring our future one step closer to the present, so that at some crucial juncture they will intersect and become one." So that's one point that I think is really important in the book, because even though that part did not actually mention relationships, it's all on the section about how to flourish in your present. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really, really important, because everyone has dreams. Everyone has a vision of where they want to be in life and in the future. But I think so often we forfeit the opportunities right before our eyes, because we're either regretting our past mistakes, past opportunities we missed out on, or we're either looking so far ahead to the future that we never really take advantage of what's before us right here and now. And so I think that's really a point that I thought was really, really important. Another thing that I'll just kind of leave, and this is just a quick quote from the book that I might say kind of a quotable quote, and it's, be the brand you'd proudly market, become the product you'd gladly sell.
Wow, say that again.
Be the brand you'd proudly market, become the product you'd gladly sell.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so again, it's just, be the brand. You market yourself, you sell yourself. And again, even though there's a lot of points that the book covers on how to do this, I go into a lot of different things like reputation management, personal development, again, the whole social media thing, I kind of break that down. But with all of these various points, these how-tos, so to speak, and even have one chapter that's completely devoted just to action items. Action item this. I even go into personal hygiene. Those are things because, again, yeah, and it needs to be discussed when you think, man, that's so elementary and simple. Why would you even go into that? Well, you'd be surprised in how many relationships, quote unquote, that people forfeit the opportunity of ever developing because their hygiene is so bad that they never have that opportunity to begin with. And so, but every one of these points, even though they're kind of like how-tos on how to get to this point, every one of them is really pointing up to, and I keep on saying the word point, but it's really pointing up to this underlying motive of it's all about the building of the relationship. And so even though there's, how to do this in social media, how to do this, going to network meetings, it's all about building the relationship. That's the underlying theme of the book. And so the whole Total Zero to Professional Hero has to do with, I kind of look at really until you have imparted value in someone, and until you have paid it forward in relationship, and until you have gone outside of your shell, outside of your personal bubble to help others realize greatness within themselves, then you're still a zero. Because you're all about you, you're all about your own agenda, you're all about your own ulterior motive. What can you do to get ahead in life? So that's really where the title comes in. Until you get outside of yourself and you start bringing value to people, helping them realize their own value, that's when you become a professional hero, in my opinion.
Darren, that was beautiful. I don't even want to continue on with that. We're out of time, but that message was what our listeners needed to hear, and I thank you for sharing that today with us.
Thank you, Jeselle.
So Darren's book is Total Zero to Professional Hero. You can find out more about Darren on his website, www.darrenwrites.com. It's DARREN, Writes, WRITES.com. His book is available on Amazon.com and also BarnesandNobles.com and in stores in your area. So Darren Bocksnick, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And guys, this has been Motivational Minds Radio. I'm your host, Jeselle, and we'll see you next time.
Jeselle, thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, bye.
Bye.